If you want to be the king of Egypt, you have to bow down to the God of Egypt. That's part of the procedure. If he had just bowed down once, he could have become king of Egypt and made all of Egypt a God-fearing country, but he was so unadaptable. How foolish. Why didn't he just bow down once and make everyone believe in God? How come he was so foolish and say that he couldn't do that even if he died? That's why he was chased out and he became a servant in someone's house. How about Daniel? All they did was just shut the window and pray for a month. The enemies were watching him, and yet he was so foolish and unadaptable that he just left the window open as usual and prayed inside the enemies. How about Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah? If they only bowed down to the idol once, they could keep their positions as ministers of the government and still worship God, enjoying wealth and glory. But they were so unadaptable, and they were thrown into the fire furnace. And Jesus, if he had just kept silent, he would have lived. But he said, I am he. And so he was put to death. Yes, they are unadaptable, foolish, and they'd rather choose to be broken or burnt to ashes or eaten by lions. But they had firm chastity. Whether we commit adultery once or we commit adultery 100 times, it's the same. Our body becomes defiled. Isn't this true? God does not tolerate infidelity even once. So because Elijah kneeled to Jezebel once, God did not use him anymore. And God forsook Moses for a single mistake. So let us be stones who are so unadaptable and unresourceful. Next, the stone, though, is the richest and has everything. It's the richest in the world. All the jewels are hidden in stone. That's why stone is rich. It owns all the jewels, but even though it's rich, it doesn't even pretend to be rich. It is so humble. And when people build houses, the stone sits on the lowest place saying, wood, you stand on top of me and I'll be under you. Whether you build palaces, and when heaven and earth were created, the stone occupied the lowest place and told all the trees and grass, you can stand on me. You can grow on top of me. Nothing is as humble yet as rich as a stone. And nothing is not fulfilled without stone. Nothing is accomplished without stone. God could not have created the universe in the same way. There are some stones, and they are, without that elder, without deacon, our stone country cannot go well, cannot prosper. So we must be those kind of stones which are needed. And that's why God and Jesus are so pleased with stones, because their hearts are like the heart of God. They are silent, unchanging, firm, like the lower millstone, and they are the foundation of all things. Stone is stubborn, chooses rather to be broken, crushed, and killed than to use their brain and to make a plan. So that's why a stone goes wherever it is sent. That's why a stone is so usable. And how can there be the stone kingdom without any stones? That's why God and Jesus are so happy with stones. Even though it has so many truths, jewel-like truths, it does not pretend to know anything or pretend to have anything. It doesn't go around bragging that they know a lot. But once the stone opens its mouth, there's such tremendous, wonderful truths. Jewel-like truths. That's why God and Jesus love those stones so much. And that's why they represent God and Jesus properly. Our Father and Jesus have everything in the universe, and they know everything, but they speak. They rarely say anything. And of course, they never change. And yet, they are so humble. They even went to the grave, and they follow us to the courts. And our daddy and Jesus, They are not adaptable. When Satan rebelled against God in heaven, if a father had been adaptable, he could have killed him immediately. But he just went through all the sufferings, like Jesus who stood in court. I hope that you'll be like our King, that great stone. That's why the servants of the Lord all throughout history love stones. And God even set up Zion with stones so he may show his glory. Isaiah chapter 28 verse 16. Therefore thus says the Lord God, behold, I lay in Zion a stone for a foundation, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. Whoever believes will not act hastily. Yes, thus says the Lord. Who says? Thus says the Lord, behold. Did Apostle John say behold? Who said behold? In Revelation, Apostle John said, behold. But here, the Lord of hosts exclaims, behold, look at, my children, look at this. Behold, I lay in Zion. How many stones? I lay a stone in Zion for a foundation for all people. And he will be a big cornerstone with which all people can form their characters. He is a stone tried and tested by me, tried by the Lord of hosts, a precious and firm foundation. Whoever believes in him, the great natural stone, will not act hastily, but be fully satisfied. Jesus 2,000 years ago didn't even go to school. He was a natural stone, which the Lord of hosts had tested and tried in thousands of different ways for 30 years. And that's why he was able to present him to the people and say, now he's reliable. And so all people, anyone can build their house on top of that stone. For he will not shake, but stay firm. He is a perfect stone, absolutely immovable, precious stone. So God presented him to the people as a foundation, as a precious, firm cornerstone. So anyone who believes in him, whom the Lord has tried and tested in thousands of different ways, he won't act hastily, but be prosperous and rich. But people wouldn't believe in him, saying that Jesus, he has no education. His speech is not refined. He's not even well dressed. He's a carpenter. How shabby. But one day, he spoke the word, so people were astonished. And tremendous truths, as sweet as honey, were coming from his lips. That's nice, but not tomorrow. But the next day, more wonderful truths came out. Later, he's going to write out things to say, but as the days went by, even more wonderful truths kept coming out from his mouth. People said, oh, but he has to study regular theology. But those who criticized him ran out of things to say and were speaking lies while Jesus was speaking greater and greater truths. So since he was a poor carpenter, he had to make money fixing doors, building houses. And though he was a poor carpenter, because he spoke well, people gave to him money. And they said, oh, this is the truth. Let's give our offerings to him. And people would say, oh, he's making so much money. He will be selfish. He will fall. He'll be contaminated. But he continued. And it was okay. And many virgins and women came and started coming to him. And those who were unmarried, they cooked for him. Even prostitutes came to him. Oh, he's going to have a problem with women. But only they became corrupt and died. Those who grumbled against him. But he never stumbled or fell. Why? Who tried him? Who tested him? The Lord of hosts had tested him in thousands of different ways, and he was perfect. Some people say, will that Teacher Park, because he gets so popular, won't he become proud? Let's see if I become proud. Who tried that stone? The Lord of hosts. If you go to the countryside, you can see houses where you have to make a fire. And at the fireplace, there is what's known as the headstone. But that headstone needs to be tested. If you use any stone from the river or from the stream, once you make a fire and it gets hot, it may explode. Even a stone like that needs to be tried and tested. Then if this stone is to be the great foundation in which all people may build their characters and a great nation to be established, then how can it not be tested and tried? And yet you still doubt that stone, even though it's tested by the Lord of hosts? All those who doubted and criticized that rock all died, and it just remained firm. Therefore, thus says the Lord, behold, I have set a stone in Zion, in the east as a foundation, which I tried, a precious sure foundation. Whoever believes in him shall not act hastily. How does he test him? For many years, God tests him in thousands of different ways. Sometimes he puts him in water, sometimes he puts him in the fire, sometimes into the dark clouds of trials, sometimes through fire tribulations, sometimes he thrusts him into the pit of ridicule and contempt. Sometimes he carries him away on the wings of praise, fame, and glory. Sometimes he sets him on a throne of wealth and power. Sometimes he leaves him alone in the desolate wilderness. Sometimes he lets him obtain the greatest popularity from people. Sometimes he confines him in a thick darkness without a gleam of vision. Sometimes he lets him teach others in a brilliancy of favor and revelation. Sometimes he gives him success and sometimes failure. Sometimes power, sometimes strength. Sometimes he takes away his power and strength. Sometimes he makes him healthy. Sometimes he takes away his health. And so, in 1,000 different ways, over many years, he is tested. And then he is found perfect. And then God sets him before all people. And then why do people still stumble and die? Only those who doubted him would die. Will we now believe and follow? Anyway, if you believe him no matter what he does, it's for your benefit. And who set up this stone? If he is no good, then God will throw him away. We don't even have the right to forsake him. Do you understand? How can we throw away him when God has established him? We can't do that. We cannot touch him. It is only God who can forsake him. It's beyond our authority. If he had been set up by man, by humans, he could be forsaken, destroyed, or thrown away by people. But since God has set him up, who can dare touch him? Let's read Zechariah chapter 3, verse 9. For behold, the stone that I have laid before Joshua, upon the stone are 7 eyes. Behold, I will engrave its inscription, says the Lord of hosts, and I will remove the iniquity of the land in one day. In that day, says the Lord of hosts, everyone will invite his neighbor under his vine and his fig tree. Every time God declares an important message, he says, thus says the Lord of hosts, and he seals it with his name. Says the Lord of hosts means this will happen for sure. Behold, a stone laid before Joshua. It says, behold. How many stones? 1 stone with 7 eyes. Have you seen a stone with eyes? It's speaking of a person. A stone has 7 eyes. If you look in Revelation, there is mentioned heaven, Holy Spirit. It's speaking of the perfect discernment of God. A stone has 7 eyes. I engraved the law of love on it. God's law of love. What does God engrave? He only engraves his law. Moses wrote the Bible, but the law, the 10 Commandments were written by God himself. So it says here, there's a stone in Zion which has 7 eyes, and God has engraved his law of love upon him. God has written his 10 Commandments on him. And he said that that stone would take away, remove all the iniquity, all the sins of the land in one day. Has this been fulfilled? Says the Lord of hosts. On that day, that stone which has 7 eyes will come out, which has the inscription of the law, and will take away all your sins, and you will invite one another to the vines and fig trees and have a great feast and eat and drink. Have you been fully satisfied? A tremendous mystery is being unfolded to you now. Matthew chapter 21, verse 44. And whoever falls on the stone will be broken, but on whomever it falls, it will grind him to powder. So since the Lord of hosts has tested this stone and has set him up, if you only surrender to him, raise your hands and surrender, instead of insulting him and saying things about him, and if you just fall on the stone, all the selfishness, pride, greed, covetousness, all sorts of idols in the hearts will be broken and disappear, and you'll become a member of the stone kingdom. But if you go away from saying, I can't believe him, there's something wrong, he's trying to make money, then the stone will run after you and fall upon you and grind you to powder, and you will die forever. I hope that you will quickly surrender and come to him. Isaiah chapter 8, verses 14 and 15. He will be as a sanctuary, but a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense to both the house of Israel, as a trap and a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble. They shall fall and be broken, be snared and taken. That great stone, which the Lord of hosts has tested and tried, will be a sanctuary, a holy refuge to you. But to both the house of Israel, to the chosen church, it will be a stumbling stone and a rock of offense and a trap and snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Many, countless number of Christians will stumble at him, be ensnared by him, taken by him, and die. There are 8 traps here. Gentiles will come to the stone and find a permanent refuge in him and become his everlasting people. But so-called chosen churches who boast that they learned something, that they know something, they say they can't believe in him, and they stumble. Even if we trip over a rock, we can get hurt our head. But what happens when we fall over this rock and stumble on this big rock? They have to die. So it will be a rock of offense. It's a huge rock. It will be a stone of stumbling, a rock of offense, a trap, and a snare. And they'll be fallen, broken. There are these 8 traps here, and there's not one person in the world who can escape from these 8 traps. That's why it's better to just surrender to him and live. In the time of Noah, the whole world rebelled against him, and they all fell into that trap. So I hope that you will give up doubting or rebelling against or running away from this stone and come to him who has 7 eyes, and the law of God upon him, who removes the entire sin of the world in one day. The stone who the Lord of hosts has tested, tried, and be the people of his eternal, immortal kingdom. People of the stone kingdom.